Welcome to another awesome episode from the Dog Mind Gears podcast. So the other day, a subscriber wrote to us and asked why it's called Dog Mind Gears. So
Oh.
we responded, well, have you looked your dog when you open the fridge and take some food that smells really good, and in a second your dog is standing next to you, you look in his eyes and immediately understand his intentions and exactly what is he thinking. Like you are seeing the gears in your dog's mind starting to turn when this happened. He said, oh, I get it now. And it's not just the gears in my dog's mind, but also there is a special spring that start when we say few special keywords. Right. Spot on, my friend. So another dog mind gear activation is from certain moments that can stay with us forever. That kind of moment is today's story about the stray dog, Sandy. Let's jump straight in.
I'm so glad we're getting into this one.
Yeah.
Because Simon Tracy's article about this is just incredible.
It really is. I mean, today's deep dive is all about a huge paradox. Like, how does a whole coastal town just ignore a hungry, homeless animal for years, right? But then eventually they turn around and officially hire that exact same animal as a seaside lifeguard.
Right. It's a massive contradiction. And Tracy's piece really forces us to look at the mechanics of community empathy.
Yeah.
Because on the surface, this looks like your standard heartwarming animal tale. Just a dog doing a good deed.
Exactly, like a movie of the week or something.
But if you peel back the layers,
Yeah.
I mean, it is this fascinating study of evolutionary canine psychology and the physics of water rescue, too. Plus, it shows the sociological triggers that finally wake a community up from, like, collective apathy.
So to understand how we actually get to that wake-up call, we have to look at the baseline first. We're looking at this picturesque town called Sunny Beaches.
Right, a very classic tourist spot.
Yeah, totally. Picture, like, sun-drenched sand, tourists everywhere, kids building sandcastles, surfers out in water. And woven into this whole landscape is Sandy.
Our main character.
Right. And Sandy is a stray dog with this very distinct, unmistakable golden fur. But her behavior is what really stands out here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because she wasn't your typical, fearful stray. She wasn't slinking around dumpsters in the shadows or anything like that.
Which is actually an incredibly rare behavioral profile for a dog in a survival situation, if you think about it.
Oh, really? How so?
Well, from a biological standpoint,
Mhm.
a stray dog's primary drive is caloric preservation
Right.
and resource guarding.
Right. Just trying to survive the day.
Exactly. They're usually operating in this state of chronic stress. They're just trying to find their next meal while avoiding threats.
But Sandy was different. Like, she had integrated herself into the daily rhythm of the beach. She would greet the early morning joggers, hang out with the kids, watch the surfers.
Yes, he was demonstrating an exceptionally high level of social intelligence. Instead of hoarding scraps or, isolating herself, she was actively investing energy into building social capital with the humans.
Building social capital. I love that. And it makes sense because she wasn't just begging for food. She was actually providing a service.
Yeah, she was.
Like, the article mentions she would gently guide wandering toddlers back to their parents. Or she'd bark to alert adults if something looked suspicious near the shoreline.
It's amazing.
She'd even paddle out to grab plastic toys that floated away. I mean, it's as if she was the unofficial mayor or working an unpaid internship as a neighborhood watch.
That's a great way to put it.
Right. She saw of a vacancy for a beach patrol officer and just unilaterally hired herself before anyone even thought to ask.
And, that really speaks to the evolutionary history of dogs. We bred them over millennia to work alongside us, to guard, to herd, to retrieve.
Right. It's literally in their DNA.
Exactly. For a lot of strays, that genetic programming just gets buried under the immediate need to survive. But for Sandy, that inherent guardian instinct was right at the forefront.
Yeah, she wasn't just existing on the beach. She was analyzing the environment, calculating risks.
Right. She was displaying heroism long before any actual crisis occurred, just through these everyday small acts of kindness and vigilance.
But, of course, the crisis did eventually occur. And this is where the stakes go from fetching a plastic bucket to literal life or death.
Yeah, the ultimate test.
So set the scene. We are looking at a chaotic, crowded holiday weekend. The waves are beautiful, but they are very deceptive.
Very dangerous conditions.
Right. And among all these tourists, there's a playful young child who wanders just a bit too far into the surf. And in an instant, the whole atmosphere of the beach just shatters.
Yeah, the article described a sudden cry for help cutting through all the noise.
Exactly. This child gets caught in a swift undertow and is just pulled rapidly away from the shore.
We really need to pause here and look at the physics of an undertow, or more accurately, a rip current.
Yeah, please do, because I think people underestimate them.
Completely, because it explains the sheer magnitude of what happened next. A rip current isn't just a strong wave. It's this powerful, narrow channel of fast-moving water.
Like a river inside the ocean.
Exactly. When waves push large amounts of water over a sandbar toward the beach, well, that water has to find a way back out to sea, right?
Right.
So it channels into a concentrated river, moving directly away from the shore. It is essentially a high-speed aquatic treadmill.
And it is absolutely terrifying because it defies human instinct. Like, you feel yourself being pulled out, and your immediate reaction is to swim straight back toward the beach.
Directly against the conveyor belt.
Exactly, which is the worst thing you can do.
It is. I mean, even Olympic-level swimmers cannot outpace a strong rip current. Fighting it spikes your heart rate, causes panic, and depletes your oxygen in a matter of minutes.
Wow.
That is exactly why the human crowd on the beach was frozen in absolute panic. The child was moving out too fast, and jumping in was incredibly high risk for anyone.
But Sandy doesn't freeze. The moment she registers the panic, she just lunges straight into the crashing waves without any hesitation.
It gives me chills just thinking about it.
Same. Witnesses described her furiously paddling against this incredibly violent water, battling the strong current until she finally reaches the child.
And then the child clung to her fur.
Yeah, these desperate little hands grabbing her golden fur. And Sandy manages to turn them around and skillfully navigate these daunting waves back to the safety of the shore.
It is a stunning display of physical endurance and raw courage.
I have to stop you there, though, and push back a little, or at least ask what I know everyone listening is wondering.
Sure, go ahead.
Because we always hear about highly trained rescue dogs doing this, right? Like the Newfoundlands or German Shepherds.
Right, the ones in the official search and rescue units.
Yeah. When we look at heroic search and rescue dog stories, whether it's water rescue or like disaster recovery, those dogs go to academies for a month. They wear special flotation harnesses.
They have handlers directing them.
Exactly. So how does a street dog with absolutely zero formal training know how to navigate a dangerous undertow and tow a human being to safety?
That is the crucial question. And the answer lies in canine biomechanics and their psychological response to danger.
Okay, break that down for us.
Well, first, look at the physical differences. When humans panic in water, we go vertical. We try to climb out of the water, which destroys our natural buoyancy.
Oh, right. We basically make ourselves sink.
Exactly. But dogs naturally maintain a horizontal spinal alignment in the water. Their weight is evenly distributed.
And the dog paddle.
Right. Their instinctual dog paddle utilizes all four limbs as a highly efficient propulsion system. They act like a four-wheel drive vehicle in the surf.
So her physical posture alone gave her an incredible advantage over the humans standing on the beach.
Yes. But arguably, the psychological aspect is even more important.
How so?
Humans possess existential dread. When we get caught in a rip current, our brain immediately spirals into the concept of our own mortality.
No, totally. We panic about drowning.
Which triggers hyperventilation and erratic, energy-wasting movements. Sandy didn't have that conceptual panic.
She just had a job to do.
Exactly. She had a singular, target-locked focus. Reach the small human in distress. She didn't overthink the physics of the current. It proves the boundlessness of potential hidden within overlooked creatures when a crisis strikes.
I love that. And when she finally hit the sand with that child, I mean, the emotional release from the crowd was just massive. The parents were in tears of gratitude, clinging to Sandy.
I can only imagine the relief.
But what stands out to me is the human lifeguards. They were rushing to the scene, but Sandy had basically beaten them to the punch.
Right, she functioned as an incredibly effective first responder.
Yeah, and it was this seamless teamwork. And to their credit, the lifeguards realized they couldn't just say, good girl, and let her go back to being a solitary stray, scavenging for leftover hot dogs.
No, they recognized her undeniable worth. They officially adopted her into their unit, transforming her into their mascot and an indispensable part of the team.
They even held a special ceremony where she was awarded a custom-made lifeguard vest.
That is such a fantastic detail.
Isn't it? I just love it. It's like a superhero finally getting their official suit. She already had the superpowers, you know. She just needed the official uniform and the training montage.
That vest represents a profound psychological shift, though. For Sandy, it marked the end of the uncertainty, the ends of scavenging for survival.
Right. She got the security of a forever family.
Exactly. She was fully integrated into a pack and given a clearly defined purpose. But we also have to look at the neurochemistry of the human team she joined.
You mean how her presence changed the lifeguards themselves?
Yes, emergency rescue is a high-stakes profession. Introducing a dog into that environment radically boosts morale, unity, and positive culture.
Oh, for sure. Just petting a dog lowers your heart rate.
Exactly. Interacting with her releases oxytocin. And they didn't just let her coast on her raw talent either. They started giving her specialized training to refine her innate skills.
Right, the professional training for rescue lifeguard dogs. What does that actually look like?
Well, it involves teaching the dog specific commands for entering and exiting the water safely, practicing tandem swimming with human lifeguards, and learning how to present a rescue buoy to a conscious victim without getting pulled under themselves.
So they took her raw courage and polished it. That is an incredible career trajectory.
It really is.
But, the rescue didn't just change Sandy's life. It caused this massive ripple effect on the entire community around her. Her one act of bravery basically held a mirror up to the town.
It was a classic disruption of sociological apathy.
Yeah.
Prior to this, the residents were exhibiting what psychologists call inattentional blindness.
Right, like tuning a radio dial.
Yes.
It's amazing, but also a bit wild that it took a dramatic life-or-death water rescue for people to finally notice the hungry dogs they walk past every day. Like, why do we tune these things out?
It's a defense mechanism. When we encounter chronic, widespread suffering, like a large stray animal population, our brains build mental walls to prevent emotional overload.
So we just start seeing them as background objects.
Exactly. Until a singular, powerful narrative breaks the pattern. When Sandy plunged into that rip current, her selflessness acted as a catalyst.
It reminded the community of their shared responsibility.
Yes, and it proved the power of one. If this one invisible street dog was capable of such immense value and love, what about the dozens of other dogs they had been ignoring?
And this is where the story pivots from just a feel-good moment into actual community action. The residents had an unprecedented response.
They really mobilized.
They did. People started noticing the vulnerabilities of strays. Local groups unified to organize structured feeding programs in the neighborhoods to prevent hunger.
Which is such a crucial first step.
Yeah, and they didn't stop there. There was a huge surge in collaboration with animal shelters for rescue and rehabilitation, and they launched educational campaigns about spaying and neutering.
It demonstrates how a local community can effectively organize to support vulnerable stray populations. You assess the need, you establish safe feeding protocols, and you partner with professionals.
Right. And a massive driver of this was their use of social media. The residents started taking photos of rescued dogs and sharing their stories online.
That completely shifted the stigma around strays.
It really did. Using social media for local stray dog awareness is so powerful. It created this viral loop of volunteerism that brought the human community closer together while saving these animals.
It shows how individual empathy changes life for abandoned dogs, and how bravery encourages local volunteerism and community unity.
Totally. But, having seen what Sunny Beaches did, I want to pivot into the specific, practical advice the article offers for anyone inspired by Sandy's story.
I think that's really important for the listeners. Not everyone is going to witness a water rescue, but everyone can help a stray.
Exactly. Because if you want to start a local pet rescue initiative, or even just help one dog, you need to know how to do it safely.
Safety protocols are paramount, especially when rescuing frightened or injured stray dogs.
Right. So the first step they recommend is just bringing a little food and water to strays. Simple acts of kindness, like just offering a bowl of water, are the first gears turning to build trust with a frightened animal.
Yes, but you have to respect a fearful animal's flight zone.
What do you mean by that?
Well, if you walk directly toward an unknown stray, make unbroken eye contact and reach your hand out, their brain interprets that as a predator attacking.
Oh, wow. So you're actually scaring them more.
Exactly. You have to use calming signals. Approach at an angle. Turn your body slightly, avert your eyes, place the food on the ground, and back away. Give them the agency to approach.
You don't have to dive into a rip current to be a hero to a stray. Just understanding how to offer water safely makes a huge difference.
Absolutely. And once that trust is there, the next step is health and safety. The source explicitly highlights the Humane Society as an incredible resource for rescue support.
Yeah, you call a vet or the Humane Society to check their health condition. They have the infrastructure to take dogs off the streets safely.
And from there, the dogs usually go into foster homes.
Which is such a great way for pet owners to help. But there are practical tips for fostering stray animals safely too, right? Especially if you already have pets at home.
Yes. If you are fostering, you always set up a strict quarantine room first, like a quiet spare bedroom or a bathroom.
So you don't just introduce them to your own dog right away?
Never. You allow the street dog days to decompress, you monitor for illnesses, and you manage the introduction slowly through scent swapping.
That makes a lot of sense. It sets them up for success. And sharing the word online is the final step to help them find forever homes.
Exactly. It fosters a culture of care and mutual respect.
And, this is something the whole family can do. There are so many beginner-friendly ways for kids to help their local neighborhood strays.
Oh, absolutely. Children are incredible advocates.
Right. Kids might not be the ones handling a fearful dog on the street, but they can organize supply drives, they can collect blankets and food for local shelters.
They can help create flyers or social media posts for foster dogs, too.
Yeah. Involving kids teaches them that empathy isn't just an emotion, it's an action. Every small contribution reduces the harshness of a stray's existence.
It reinforces the idea that we are all interconnected in building a compassionate society. Sandy's selflessness was just the spark.
It really was. So before we sign off, I want to leave you with something to ponder. Every time you walk past a stray or see a nervous animal waiting in a shelter, you might be looking at a potential hero.
It's so true.
You might be looking at a guardian or a community unifier who just hasn't been given their custom-made vest yet. What potential is hiding in plain sight in your own neighborhood?
A very profound thought to carry with us today.
This story was published by Dogzilla magazine. And to be honest, if you go there now at dogzilla.com, you will find lots of good stuff, as we often go when we are up for a special doggy delight.